What's going on, world? This is your girl, Marki Lemons-Ryhal with Social Selling Made Simple. And I am elated today to share with you some of my goal setting strategies. And I have none other than my podcast host, Mr. Matt Johnson.
How's it going, Marky?
Hey, Matt, how you doing today?
I am doing awesome, and this is one of my favorite topics, and so I'm really excited. I've done some fun episodes of Real Estate Uncensored in the past before, where I yelled at my co-host over our different approaches to goal setting. So this is always a fun one. So, so we're going to talk. We're recording this in early 2019, and so I'm really excited because we're going to get into goal setting. I think people can use this stuff and implement it right away. So let's jump right in. So what is the first thing that you would like people to know about how to start setting goals, especially if they haven't already made it a regular staple of their life?
Well, the first thing, and I've actually changed my approach to goal setting, and that is to start with the wheel of life. Focus on what is important to you. And a lot of times people come into the world of real estate, and this tends to be the general goal. I want to earn a six-figure income. Right. And then we look at their calendar and there's no space. There's no time to earn a six-figure income based on everything else. I will tell you, I woke up maybe 5 years ago and my money was funny. My energy was zapped and I did not have enough time to date my husband. I had goals, but I did not focus on what was most important to me. And I needed to have some fun. I needed to implement a social life. I needed to get back to dating my husband and pay him some attention. And even with my children, I needed to put my phone down. And so I believe when we're goal setting, the very first thing is to focus on the wheel of life and look at the things that you do well and the things that you don't do so well. And for me, something as simple as my nails. I cannot wait to go see the manicurist today, because if I don't go every 2 weeks, I spend so much time just consistently looking at my nails and playing with them. Well, if you are concerned with how you look and beautification is important, that needs to go on the calendar. So I start with the wheel of life. And then I come over to the goal setting. Of course, I believe that our goals should be SMART goals, right? They need to be specific, measurable, obtainable, relevant, and time bound. I believe not only do they need to be in writing, they need to also be on your calendar, and you need to set it up that you're receiving consistent reminders about what you need to do. If not, goals often, we dust them off. Most people, they dust them off once a year, right? And that's at the beginning of the next year. Yeah. Some of us might be a little bit more religious with it, and we look at them every 6 months. Once I look at that wheel of life and I come back, then of course I'm going to focus on, I want to monetize, right? How do I make money? For me, in setting my goals, I start with the end in mind. And then I work backwards. And I delete and take away anything that does not meet the goal. An example would be, and this is not talking down, but I had the CIPS, Certified International Property Specialist. And when I looked at my core business and what I was really trying to do, having that designation doesn't get me to the end. And so instead of receiving the magazines and the ongoing emails and the networking opportunities, I needed to focus on the designations and certifications that get me to the end goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's working for you in that space? Because you said you used to have some arguments. So where do you start, Matt?
Okay. So here's what I see a lot with agents, especially around the new year. You mentioned hey, I want to make six figures. So obviously we hear that all the time. What I hear along with that is then when I ask the follow-up question, great, what's going to be different about this year than last year? Usually the answer is, well, I just need to, and then it's something like more calls. I just need to be on social media more. It's always something very unclear, very nebulous, very kind of out there in the atmosphere with nothing concrete. So I love your approach. Always make your goals, SMART, right? Measurable, for example, trackable. But I want to talk about the achievable. That's an interesting one, because I think that agents get into a really bad cycle a lot where we we bite off more than we're ready to chew at that point, and then inevitably we don't follow through because we shouldn't have committed to those goals to begin with, and then we beat ourselves up about it afterwards, right? And that starts the shame spiral, right? And if there's anything I've learned from having a very good business coach, it's way more important to implement smaller changes that you do religiously every single day, and you commit to it with your heart and soul, and you don't let yourself off the hook, but you don't bite off more than you can chew. So when you start with smaller goals and you commit to them absolutely, what happens over time is you build this sense of momentum, like, hey, I'm doing it. Like you start to sense some groundswell underneath you, and so I love the idea. We talked about it in one of the other episodes that we did of just 60 minutes a day on social media, because here's what most agents will do. They'll listen to you, and they'll get all fired up and they'll go, I'm going to spend 3 hours on Facebook tomorrow listening. And they've already lost the battle, right? So I think if there's anything I could send them away with is when you're implementing the things that you're going to talk about, Marki, it's stick with it. Like, yes, get things set up, and that might take a little while. But once they're in it, like, just commit to that, just that hour a day. It doesn't need to, and don't, literally, even if you want to, don't do any more than that, because there are going to be days when you don't feel like doing that you have to stick to it. And as long as you keep sticking to it, you'll build that momentum up, and you'll realize, oh, wait a minute. Okay, it's been 3 weeks and I've done social media an hour every day. And you'll look up and realize, oh, wow, this feels different. And I'm really excited for people to have that feeling.
You know what? One thing you just said, achievable, attainable. I tell people all the time, when I came into the world of real estate, I had my business plan. I knew that I wanted to sell 70 houses, and I wanted the price point to be $250,000. The first thing that hit me, my friends, my sphere of influence did not earn enough money to buy the houses that I wanted to sell. Right. So at the time, my friends were earning $40,000 to $50,000 a year. And I realized that the rule of thumb is you can only afford a house at around 2.5 times your gross annual income. And I said, I got to get new friends. And no, but it was difficult because I had my business goals, right? Set up. And so I started to shift my sphere of influence with because I need my goals to be achievable, attainable, right? Mm-hmm. I knew instantly those goals, I would never achieve them because the people in my sphere of influence could not buy what I was selling.
Right.
Okay. So when we talk about those small changes, and to kind of further that, a lot of people want to sell in a community in my city called Hyde Park, but they have no footprint, digital or otherwise, in the community. Mm-hmm. The first thing that I did to make that achievable was I went and joined that local chamber of commerce, because now I'm invited to every activity. I'm receiving a formal introduction. Mm-hmm. Hyde Park is one of the few communities, they have the Hyde Park Herald, and people actually read the newspaper. Ooh. So now, when the newspaper comes out, who's always the first 3 pages? Oh, the local chamber. And so we have to, it wasn't a big effort. I just needed to join and show up, right? And that's what you just mentioned. So we want to set those SMART goals. You need to think about the client. It is not about us. It is always about the client, how they prefer to communicate. Even in my own business, my preferred method of communicating is email. But I tell every CEO, every education director in our initial email, would you like to schedule a call to discuss your education needs? Because that might be their preferred method of communicating.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep. So in setting your business plan, one, you do want to set some big, hairy, audacious goals. It can't just always be comfort, because growth does not occur in the state of comfort. Mm-hmm. But something that you are going to do, and it's not go from $100,000 to $1 million, but it easily could be go from $100,000 to $150,000. And the question is, how are you going to do that? But I think you need to also have accountability, which is probably the number one reason people do not reach their goals.
Well, we'll have to do a whole other episode about that.
Yeah, accountability.
I like that topic. Okay, so we'll finish out with this. Marki, what's the best way for people to reach out and connect with you?
The best way to reach out and connect with me, if you spell my name correctly, Marki, Marki, Lemons, Lemons, you will find me all over the internet, but Facebook is the place to come and hang out with me. I have private Facebook groups with social learning units over there that have an abundance of information built out for you already.
That's right. All the links are in the show notes, so you can grab those links to get shortcutted right over to the Facebook groups to connect. And then remember to download the podcast on your favorite podcast app, or you can go over to YouTube and just watch and binge on the show there. So, Marki, thank you so much. This has been fantastic.
As always, thank you.